Welcome to today's masterclass. Today we are going to talk about a subject that is going to help your child with their creative, their imagination, their fine motor skills, and their building skills. And this is called Loose Parts. So there's actually two books I truly recommend. They are called Loose Parts, and they are filled with activities and ideas of what you can do at home or in the classroom. I have a tray of loose parts here. So what is common about this is that they are objects that can be found around the house, in your recycling bin, and they don't have a specific purpose for it to be used. For example, if I give you a toy apple and we're going to play kitchen, the apple can only be an apple. Versus if I give you a open tray of loose parts, I can quickly say, oh, this green one, it's a green apple. And this red bottle top, it's a red apple, right? For example, if I tell you we're going to play something else, I can tell you these are my little cars and I can stack them up and create something together, right? So the child tells the object what it's going to be, right? This could be a ring, this could be the ring of fire, this could be a hat, right? Like if I have a little peg guy, this could be, the hair or the hat. So basically the child is in charge of the play. And this is also called open-ended toys. And these are toys and materials we definitely want to add into our play area, because the child is in charge of the play and is going to grow their creativity, and it's also going to allow you to have less toys in your playroom, because you don't have to have a toy apple, a toy cherry, a toy tomato. You can play and pretend these are all of the items. So open-ended toys like these can be both natural materials or they can be plastic man-made. You can find seashells, you can find rocks, you can find beads. Beads are also an open-ended material. Or you can find plastic things like bottle tops. These can all be both man-made or natural. They don't always have to be used only by themselves. They can be used in combination. So you can combine beads with bottle tops, with a cork. So for example, I can create on a Play-Doh tray, I can give them loose parts, and I can go ahead and create a face made out of, these could be the eyes, maybe this could be a mustache, right? And I can see what else I can do for the mouth. So it really opens up that creative juices and that creativity. Kids will tend to gravitate towards real objects than toys naturally. It's just something that we are naturally driven to. Loose parts can also be plants and leaves. So if you have a mud kitchen, you will often see loose parts mixed into that play. We'll have mud, we'll have flowers, we have pots and pans. They can mix things around. But loose part is not just fun. It actually has a lot of great benefits. For example, in this digital world and in this modern world where our kids are not exposed to playing outside as they used to, where technology is at the tip of their fingers, we're losing a little bit of that freedom of play. So loose parts allow your child to create their worlds, to replicate their real life, and to have real emotional connection to different objects and recreate different sceneries. It allows for a lot of communication as they try to explain what they're building, as well as working on their fine motor skills while they're manipulating these objects. It is also a very economical way to bring new toys into your play area, because a lot of these toys can be found in the recycling bin. Paper towel tubes, old tires, you can do loose parts play outside. You can have different construction materials. Like just yesterday, I'm gonna show you, we found a gutter from our house that we no longer use. So it's this big black tube that we were throwing yesterday rocks at it, you can throw water at it. So it really just opens up the imagination, because even a stick is a loose part, right? The moment that a stick becomes a wand one day, the next day it can become I don't know, a tree, or the witch's broom if you're like recreating a story. So it really allows your kids not to get bored, and it's a free way for you to gather play materials and mix them up with the things that you already have. Through the video so far, you have been able to see how we use loose parts out in nature. But one of my favorite ways to do loose parts are two things. It's doing a Play-Doh tray, that's how I got started, and also adding it to your play kitchen. So these are, for example, some loose parts that I have. These are purchased and they are made out of wood. So these are some of like wood rings and cups and bowls. And the other way that you can do it is if you have plastic bottles like these that you can start collecting from your recycling bin. Toilet paper tubes and a lot of the plastic bottle tops are super fun to use both in Play-Doh and in the use of the kitchen. So I love it to use it in the kitchen because, for example, if I have the play food and I give you a tomato, right? This tomato can only be a tomato, ever, right? If I give you I don't know, a banana, right? This can only be ever be a banana. Versus if I give you a loose part, you know, I can pretend this to be my banana, or I can pretend these to be green and red apples, and I can put them in little kitchen stuffs, and I can say I'm going to make you some food, and I can use all these loose parts into different activities. So the good thing about these loose parts is that they are open-ended materials, meaning the child is in charge of the game. They are in charge of what this item is going to represent. So today it can represent a house, it can represent something to eat, it can represent something, I don't know, different. This can be a berry, this can be a little treasure. So the child is in charge of the play, and that's what loose parts just really brings out that creativity, because they are in charge of the game and anything can be anything. So by allowing and adding loose parts into your games, it allows them to expand that creativity. Throughout the years, I have been collecting some loose parts myself. So and these boxes, I use it a lot when we are just doing little free play, or sometimes even with the Play-Doh box. This one is just about shells. These are shells that I have collected through purchasing them, as well as finding them on our nature walks. Through our vacations, we have been able to find some really cool finds. So if we like it, we tend to collect them. Our family knows that we collect these, so they give us some of that. We also use it for math. So I have a mixture of tons of pine cones, I have rocks, I have wood pieces. So this is my counting box, and it's all full of loose parts. So I can pair this with a Play-Doh tray, and they can do lots of creations. Yesterday in class, I did regular Play-Doh with no color, and I gave them a bunch of loose parts. I even took this tray with me, and I allowed them to play. They had candles, and most of them, they decided to do some birthday candles, some birthday cakes. So it really expands their creativity and their motor skills. So how to get started with loose parts? I say you can start adding them to your pretend play, especially your kitchen area. It just really gives them that sense of creativity because they can replicate what they see every day at home. And you can use them in a Play-Doh tray, which we're gonna do one of those activities this month. The other way that you can use it is during free play. You can do small worlds. So a small world is kind of like a sensory bin, but instead of being messy, or it's just a mini world that they can create. So you can use some wooden blocks, and I can add some zoo animals, and I can set it up nicely in an engaging way so my child gets motivated and it sparks their creativity to continue the play. You can do this with any type of animals. You can do the farm, you can do the zoo, you can do the jungle, you can do anything. You can do bugs. So those parts really gives them that flexibility to do like a not messy activity, and they are in charge of the play. When you add these items to your play area, to your sensory bins, it really gives you a collection of materials that are affordable to buy. They're easy to find. You can start collecting the bottle tops. It took me 2 to 3 months to start collecting these, but you can gather your friends, your family to help you out. Loose parts can be both used indoors and outdoors. The most often things that I've seen is loose parts indoors. You tend to use little parts like these either on a Play-Doh tray or in your kitchen area, in your playroom, versus if you go outside, you tend to find bigger loose parts, like big containers. You can use like big milk boxes like this. They can flip over. Stack them up, they can stand up, they can jump. So this is considered like a loose part, right? It can be anything. It can be a stepping stool, it can be a basket. It has a lot of uses. You can have old tires, you can have big logs. If you live in a place where you have access to big logs, you can make ramps. I've seen, well, we use the gutter, right? That's like a big loose part. We can put some water in, we can put some rocks in it. So when you think about outside, you can get very creative with very large objects, versus if you're indoors, it's more of like an indoor smaller loose parts on tray areas that you can get started with. There's a whole world about loose parts, and you can get super creative. You can use picture frames and create different designs inside, different layouts with rocks and Play-Doh and leaves. Or you can go outside and do land art, which is something that we did in class, where we painted some rocks and found some leaves and colorful flowers, and we laid them in a pattern at the park, so other people could enjoy our big nature art. And as the wind blew over the things, the art was like in constant living. It was changing, and as people walked by, they saw different type of art. So you can get super creative with loose parts, and I think this will give you like a little head start to start collecting some items and have some fun. I'm gonna show you through the books, the loose parts books, some of my favorite ideas that I've seen people use, because it's just, when you see how other people use loose parts, it really sparks your imagination of things that you can do as well, things that you can collect and start bringing into your home.